Elliott, how many games have you gone to at A&M, or will this be your first trip there too?
It won't be my first trip to College Station, but it'll be the first time I actually go to a game there. I grew up a huge Texas fan, so I was always going to Austin to see the Texas games. But I think when I was in middle school, I went to a Texas A&M rivalry game, but that was at Texas, so looking forward to it.
Rich?
Elliott, I was looking at some of the updated statistics. It looks like you're still leading the nation in field goal attempts, and I think you're one behind the leader in field goal makes. The accuracy, though, is a little bit down compared to last year, but your length is longer. You know, what's the difference in getting more length this year on field goals, but the accuracy maybe going down a little bit?
Yeah, my accuracy has gone down a little bit. I'm not happy about it. I'm working on it, but I think with the length this year is, I guess I've had the opportunity to kick a little bit more manageable, over 50 yarders, like a 51 and 52, are a little bit more manageable than like a 57 or something. Previously, I never really attempted anything in that 50 to 54 range, so I think that's probably a little bit of the difference.
Elliott, obviously we know your backstory, you know how you ended up here, but when you were debating whether or not you decided to go all the way across country to here, was the fact that you got to play at Texas A&M, did that factor in at all?
Actually, I didn't know that I would be able to play A&M. I don't think when I first came here, I don't think the schedule was made yet for the that we're going to play A&M each year. So, yeah.
Back, Tim.
So growing up a Longhorn guy, is this kind of a rivalry game for you in that sense?
Honestly, I've never personally liked A&M, but I got a lot of friends that go there. I got a lot of family members that go there. My stepbrother, he's a sophomore there right now, so it'll definitely be pretty cool to play there.
David?
Two questions. First of all, you talked about more manageable 50-ish yard field goals. How do you stretch length as a kicker? Is it just working on leg strength over the off season, or how do you do that?
A lot of it is, in warm-ups, you can kick, a 60-yarder. It's not about that, really. It's about when you're back at plus 50, you have to hit a perfect ball. When you're kicking an extra point, it may look perfect on TV, but I may have not hit it perfect, or even on a short-length field goal, you may not be hitting it exactly the way you want it to, and that really shows on a plus 50-yarder where everything has to be perfect.
And there's been so much made the last couple of weeks about some of the red zone shortcomings on the part of the offense. How do you look at that as a kicker point of view? Because it's more opportunities for you, but it's not as many points for the offense.
Yeah, in a close game where you need a touchdown, obviously, I'd rather prefer we not kick, like a 22-yarder or something. I obviously always hope our offense scores a touchdown, but if we're up by 40, then that's a different story. Maybe I might want to get a 20-yarder in.
Elliott, with so many family and friends there in Texas, has there been some good trash talk going back and forth between you and the folks in the Lone Star State?
Yeah, with my family a little bit. We've kind of been joking about this for a while. Ever since we started playing A&M, I always joke with my stepbrother, who's there now, about me and my dad talk about how if it came down to a game winner, what would he actually want to happen? So, yeah, hopefully he'll want me to do good, but I know he still wants A&M to win it deep down in his heart.
How do kickers rate as trash talkers?
Pretty solid, I think.
To the middle.
How different is prepping for a game when you're going back to the home state in terms of like rounding up tickets, that sort of thing, and when was the last time you actually got back to Texas?
Well, yeah, I was actually just back in Texas this weekend for fall break and the bye week. But luckily, being a big game that I need tickets, a lot of people aren't going to be going from my teammates and stuff. A lot of their parents probably aren't making the trip out there, so I've been able to get tickets pretty easily.
To the left, Pete.
Elliott, I know you saw what happened at the end of the Florida State Georgia Tech game. There was another game I think ended on in a similar way, the kick six at Auburn a couple years ago. When you see long field goal tries like that get returned, do you and maybe Coach Robinson, does that come into effect the strategy that you might want to take that perhaps you might not want to try a longish 55, 56-yard field goal at the end because of those instances?
We haven't talked about that. We do have, when we get on the longer ones, we have, a cover call, and we practice it in practice, us kicking it short to the returners and have them running one back. Obviously, you don't kick it any differently. You kick it to make it. You don't kick it to try to maybe make it, but miss long or something like that. But, it's something I guess we all have in the back of our heads.
On that same line, Elliott, a couple of weeks ago, LSU ran a fake field goal for a touchdown, helped beat Florida. As a kicker, does that make you feel pretty good saying, we can do that too? I mean, have you ever had a chance to do that in high school?
In high school I had a reverse, but it wasn't me kicking. I just lined up at wide receiver, but that was the only time I scored a touchdown. But, it's definitely always cool seeing a kicker get into the end zone, especially in the SEC, someone that we play. I think it's awesome, yeah.
Rich?
Elliott, a lot of players, when they're going to play their home state team or something like that, or a team a bunch of their high school buddies are on, they can get pumped up during the game and go out and block somebody or tackle somebody or hit somebody. Do you have to kind of do the opposite and avoid getting too pumped up so that you don't throw your technique off?
I don't think it's really avoided. I think, especially, being a junior, I think I've kind of learned as a kicker, you really learn to kind of control yourself and have good self-control and not get ahead of yourself or not get down on yourself. So I think it all comes down to really just concentrating and not letting that get to you.
Tim?
For South Carolinians, what's the main difference between Texas and South Carolina?
That's a good question. I guess Texas is a lot bigger. That's the main difference, I guess. A lot more people there.
Playing off of that, I've lived in Texas before, and they do think of it that way. Do you think that people look down on South Carolina, particularly Texas A&M fans that for that reason?
I wouldn't say anything like that. Then again, I'm not an A&M fan, so never really have been, so I don't know.
David?
As a kicker, what's it like breaking down that dam of a 50-yard field goal? Is that a mental block to get over, and once you do it, is it easier to convert more of those?
I don't think there's really a mental block. Like I said, I think last year, I hadn't really attempted a 50-yarder other than a plus 55, and that, 57, 58, that's a pretty tough field goal to make. So I think once you get down to kicking more, like I said, more manageable 50-yarders, when you get down to 50, 51, 52, those are a lot more manageable to make.
In the back to Dwayne.
After being here a couple years, what do you like more about South Carolina, the state now, and what do you miss most about Texas?
Definitely playing for the Gamecocks. I like the whole SEC culture. I was never a part of that growing up. I was, a big Big 12 fan because of the University of Texas. But and A&M wasn't really in the SEC until, I guess, my senior year in high school. So the SEC wasn't really big in Texas or anything. But I miss the Texas barbecue a lot. It's pretty good.
You mentioned going to a Texas A&M game. How disappointed are people in that state the fact that rivalry no longer exists? And do you sense there's a surge of momentum to get that rivalry back? And what's sort of been the reaction of people in that state to Texas A&M leaving the Big 12 and coming to join the SEC?
Yeah, I actually remember. I think I was at the final, or I was either at it or watching on TV, but I think Justin Tucker kicked a game-winning field goal to kind of end the rivalry. I always thought that was really cool. I was a big fan of his growing up too. But what was the rest of the question? Sorry, I lost.
What's sort of been do you sense maybe it's a surge of momentum in the state to have the rivalry come back? Is there a sense of disappointment in the state that it even went away in the first place? And what's sort of been the reaction in that state to Texas A&M leaving the Big 12 and coming to join the SEC?
Yeah, being a Texas fan, like I said, grew up always watching the rivalry. So I was disappointed that it wouldn't be a rivalry anymore. But at the same time, I don't think people really care all that much.
Adding on to the second part of that question, have you noticed, or have people talked to you what SEC culture has permeated into the state of Texas? Have people talked about that at all?
No, not really. I don't even think it's, I I personally probably don't think it's as the same as it is kind of here where it's been for a while, and down in Alabama, Georgia, those areas. I still don't think it's really as much like that, and I think a lot of that's due to you got the Cowboys in Texas. Everybody's a big NFL fan, a lot of other sports too. So here, a lot of people have always told me is they don't have a major sports team here, so I think people look at the Gamecocks a lot with a lot more. Yeah, whatever.
Anything else for Elliott? Thank you, Elliott.
Thanks.